There's gonna be flashing lights in this video, so before any of you guys complain, you've been warned. The Nintendo DS, the handheld that pretty much introduced me to gaming. But how big of a success this was, it shouldn't really come as a surprise that there were many revisions of this handheld, the Nintendo DSi being one of them. I know there are people out there that consider this a sequel to the DS, but to me, that would be the 3DS. The DSi was just another version of the DS if you ask me. It could basically do everything the DS could, and then some more. Well, let's say Game Boy Advance compatibility. But going back to the some more part, one of those things was the DSi shop, home to DSi wear. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of these were nothing to write home about. They ranged from watered down versions of retail games to alright, or trash, or just huh? But there were a couple of standouts in this stack, and one of them was a free application. Yep, it's Flipnote Studio. Flipnote Studio is basically an art tool, one that's surprisingly easy to use for both artists and non-artists. It basically utilizes flipbook style, which allows you to make animations.
If it's so easy, why don't you use it?
This is why.
Of course, you're not going to find a robust software here, as you only get so much space and you have a very limited pool of colors to choose from, which is why I don't really use this tool often. I mean, have you seen this channel? Color is our thing here. But even if it's not for me, I can't deny how easy it was to get into. While I didn't own a DSi, I remember constantly using this app on a friend's DSi. And you'd think because it was easy to animate on this, I would be able to make some solid animations, right? I can barely draw to begin with. What makes you think I can animate? But it was still wild to see these come to life, you know? I obviously don't have any of these on hand because they stayed solely on this DSi, but that blew my mind when I was younger, seeing something I thought only absolute gods could do, done by me on a dinky DSi. Sure, it was shit, but it was moving! Not to mention the whole arsenal of tools you had at your disposal, like using the awful DSi camera. But we can't talk about fun without mentioning the audio quality.
What audio quality?
Yeah, the DSi did not exactly have the best audio quality, and it's really evident when you see any of these. But frankly, it's what makes Flipnote. It plays such a huge part that hearing the source audio for some of these Flipnotes feels wrong. And don't get even started when I see a Flipnote re-upload with high quality audio. It's like someone vandalized a historical art piece. But that's just the tool part of the app. You can't talk about Flipnote without mentioning...
I'm a scat man.
Flipnote Hatena. This was basically a service in the app itself that ran from 2008 to 2013. Here, you could basically post your Flipnotes for everyone to see. You know all those popular Flipnotes you constantly see reposted? Yeah, those came from Hatena. There's a lot of good stuff on here, ranging from music videos to silly little animations, the weird animations, sprite animations, parodies, and the stick fights. Man, the stick fights. Seeing shit like this on my DSi was, and still is mind-blowing to me. Just slap some shit like Daft Punk on it and I rewatch these for hours. Again, I didn't own a DSi, so I could only really access Hatena when my friend was over, but it was basically YouTube before I even discovered YouTube. It helps that there are different channels if you wanted something in a specific category, but me personally, I just love looking at whatever was popular in the front page or just new. I would even save some of these to DSi itself just so me and my friend could watch a bunch of these while on a road trip or something. But for all the good that was on Hatena, there was also... a whole lot of junk. Now, I'm gonna start us off by saying that I have nothing against the creator of these edgy music videos. A lot of these are nostalgic to me and I can respect how well animated these are. But man, these were really the same thing, huh? It's always some character singing to some edgy song, and it was always the same few songs, and then you see some fucked up bloody version of them killing all their friends or something, and then a bunch of flashes in between the song. Again, it's not that these are animated poorly, but even as a kid I got tired of these because of how samey they felt. I love music videos, but that's when they were made by a person who just really liked the song and just animated their characters to it in creative ways. You can say the same for these edgy music videos, but they all really blend together with how many of the same beats they shared. But at least those took effort, and I do respect that. It's funny how a lot of the ones I saw were either based on the Sonic franchise or My Little Pony, but I can't really say the same for the remix Flipnotes. Yeah, so you can unlock a Flipnote back then, and basically others can take said Flipnote and edit it to their heart's content. Sometimes people would simply just use an unlocked Flipnote to make their own versions with the audio, because recording audio with the DSi sucked. And that's what it should be like. But unfortunately, a lot of the time people would just make the video faster and just make every frame change colors, and it results in a seizure inducing Alvin and the Chipmunks Flipnote. That sure was fun. Not to mention sometimes people would just change the song and call it a day. So yeah, there was a lot of joke on Hatena as well. And I'm sure there's a lot more to it, like the whole ratings and comment system, but I personally don't remember much about those, since I was the type of kid to just browse Flipnotes and move on. Sadly, Flipnote Hatena shut down back in 2013, and I'm sure it was a huge blow to a lot of people, especially since a lot of artists find their friends are calling for art on this service. It's a good thing the Flipnote archive exists, because without it we would have to rely on YouTube uploads, and those are always a mixed bag. It's a shame a part of the Flipnote app is just gone though. Of course it got a fan revival. If anything defunct has a dedicated community, there will be fan servers. Sudomemo, as you can already guess, is how one would access Flipnote in this day and age, and it's been running since 2014. It helps that it's a fairly easy process, and you can even access it on your 3DS. And as someone who owns a 3DS, thank you very much. Even if you don't own a DSi or 3DS, you can still view Flipnotes from the site itself. Hell, most of my footage you've been seeing so far is from Sudomemo, and let me tell you, being able to whip up my 3DS at night and just browse Flipnotes like I didn't know what YouTube was felt really nostalgic. I'm sure there's some new features and improvements they've made, but I haven't really fully explored Sudomemo yet. But one thing I did notice is that you can actually upload your Flipnotes directly to YouTube too, which is a killer feature, that's for sure. As for the community, it's obviously not as big as Hatena was, but it warms my heart to see a fairly active community on this service either way. Seeing this many people still care about Flipnote, it really is beautiful. It helps that they even host these weekly topics for people to partake in. Unfortunately, there is still some junk to go through here. Not as much as Hatena had, but don't be surprised if you come across a lame remix or another repost of an old Flipnote from the Hatena days. Either way, even if I don't make Flipnotes, Sudomemo is still a really cool project, and whether you want to post your flips for everyone or just browse creations, I would highly recommend it. In the end, Flipnote Studio is a really nostalgic and neat thing to me. It's like looking at a time capsule of the late 2000s and the early 2010s. I can't deny that a lot of my love for it comes from nostalgia, but even putting that aside, seeing such an easy way to animate is still cool to this day, and I really wish it was attempted again. Sure, the tool itself is very limited, and the audio quality was not good, but it's all part of the charm, you know? Can you imagine a tool like this with all the modern conveniences of the average art program today? Even as someone who isn't an artist or can't really use this tool, I respect the hell out of it and the people who made or make stuff for it. I really hope these various creators are doing great out there. Anyways, like I said earlier, if you're interested in any of this, I highly recommend Sudomemo, or even the Flipnote archive if you just want to browse the old stuff. Both these projects are a similar team if I remember correctly, so these guys clearly care a lot for the legacy of this app. With that being said, I still do want to pay tribute to Flipnote, so... Well, the channel has always been about trying stuff and hoping it works.